you produce records for Chad. He goes to prison. The police are coming to your house, harassing your grandfather all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they hoped to uncover? They thought you were a co-conspirator in laundering
I think
money?
so. I think they're trying to, I think that when they saw that we did a record, I think they probably was trying to see like what I knew.
What's going down is the No Pain, No Gain podcast. We referenced a surprise and an intense story. We actually don't know the story though, but I was told it was intense by this man right here. Please welcome Fresh Air to the podcast. First time on here. It feels like I've seen you last year, but like we discussed, the pandemic pretty much warped everyone's sense of time. It's probably more like 4 years. So hope everything's good. Can you give people just like a brief elevator pitch of who Fresh Air is? Because I could just ramble on for a while. We've worked together a lot over the years.
So Fresh Air is a producer, a complete producer. Work with many artists. I had the pleasure of working with, I just did a recent track with NBA Youngboy, Post Malone, and Kid Leroy. Man Payne got one with Sammy and Lil Baby. Worked with Meek Mill, Gunna, Thug, a lot of people. So, just moving around, trying to make memories.
I had it was a husband and wife team of producers on here, and they were discussing one of their huge hits, and then they brought your name up. I was like, wow, it's a small world. I think you know who I'm talking about, right? Priority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you travel around. I have some general questions about your process and your amazing network ability, but really, ultimately, the first order of business is the story. So we have been debriefing from the Chad Focus conversation, and from the outside looking in, it just seemed straightforward because of the way that, and I certainly apologize for believing the media when it came to how they reported on that story. It just seemed like this guy kind of didn't know what he was doing. He somehow embezzles $4 million, dumps it into his music career, goes to federal prison. After the fact, I'm like, something's missing. And then you send me that message talking about your house got raided in the midst of all of this. I'm just like, wow, this is way, way, way deeper than what anybody ever reported on. Even the Vice documentary.
Yeah, so I didn't see the Vice documentary. My house didn't get raided, but we'll talk about that. I didn't see the Vice documentary. It's just crazy because it's like, man. So Chad is I've known Chad my whole life. We pretty much grew up together. We didn't grow up together like we grew up together where like we knew who each other were, but we never really crossed paths unless like we played basketball, something like that, because Chad was a really good basketball player. He was known for that. His father started this brand in Baltimore that was a huge brand. I can't remember the name of it, but the brand was huge. Like his father started up. It was like Team CJB or something like that. All the young ballers, like every hooper, wanted to be part of Team CJB. And, that's how Chad, was coming up through, with his dad, hooping. And then my old high school basketball coach ended up leaving high school to go coach at this college called McDaniel, which Chad went to. So then Chad ended up playing under my old high school basketball coach. We still would cross paths here and there, but nothing too serious. So I think what happened was, I've always been doing music, so everybody knew. And that's when Chad, I guess he started to do music as well, but he had this label that he put together, and he had a team, and he wanted me to come in, be a part of it, and produce the music. So he came and he bought a lot of beats from me. Man, I want to say maybe at one time, I think he bought about 10 beats, and me paying my beats is not, it's not cheap. So he ended up dropping a bag, bought like 10 beats, and we just started building. And one thing about Chad that I always noticed, besides the fact that he's a great dude, you know, he's a really, really good dude. He's very smart. I noticed that he was very smart. And when I started to get into his circle, I started to see, you know, everything that he had going on. And, you know, he had a partner in crime. I can't remember what this guy's name was, but I would go over his house and he would just be doing all types of stuff, you know, just to bring in money. What I thought he was bringing in money by, you know, everything that he was doing. He had this big wall, and on the wall would be like his plans, you know, like it's like a vision board. It was crazy vision board. Like it was one of them vision boards that you see like on Netflix or like on the movies where they have like trying to figure out a mystery or problem with things connected to this and connected to that. And I was just like, this guy's super smart. Like he's smart. Like he getting money. You know, he got this team and everybody was around. Like everybody from Baltimore was involved. Like everybody. And I could tell, you know, when people are around like that, it's because they're all getting paid. So he was paying out, you know, all these people that was coming around, and he was the big boss. So he wanted to do music, but he also had his own artists. So, you know, he ended up, he had like 3 different artists, and then he had one main artist, which was a singer named Ralease. And, you know, he ended up getting Ralease, and we had this one track. So with this track, it was like a Baltimore club type record, like mix, whatever. That's just kind of like similar to what y'all hearing now that they think is new with the Jersey club, something like that, but a little bit slower. I produced it. So I did the record, and he put this song. Well, Ralease had wrote the song and was his main artist, and the song was really good. Like it was a really good song. And all Chad did was put his verses on it. And he started to, you know, pay people to push it through Baltimore. And like I said, it was a really good song. And somehow the song ended up on Billboard. And I was just like, this is crazy, because I feel like people in Baltimore heard the song and knew what the song was because we from that city. So the city's not that small. So, you know what I mean? So people heard it, but I was like, when it ended up on Billboard, I was kind of confused. I was like, people outside the city really haven't heard this record. I'm like, how is this record on Billboard? You know, and I'm talking to like some of my best friends about it. And we just like, I don't know, maybe he's doing what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe he's just, I don't know. Maybe he put money into it, you know, to boost it. So he eventually ended up getting T-Pain on the song. So when he got T-Pain on the song, people was like, all right, yeah, this is crazy. Like this man got T-Pain on the song. Like this man get money. So we thinking like Chad just making money. He was selling coffee, I think. So I'm like, maybe he making this money off of selling coffee. I'm like, this is crazy, right? So we ain't know coffee was selling like that. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, he put T-Pain on it. And I remember I was in Dallas and he was like, yo, we about to shoot the music video for you. Got to come back up to Baltimore. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I ended up flying back out to Baltimore, and I come down to the video shoot. It's hella people there. Like I'm talking about, it's so many people at the video shoot, but no T-Pain. So I'm like, okay, how is this about to work? Like you got T-Pain on the record, but he's not even here, right? So Chad he's upset. And one thing about Chad that I feel like he's a scatterbrain, and it's like he's everywhere with everything. Like he talks in circles, right? But he's smart, but he talks in circles. It's almost like he's crazy. So I'm like, man, this man crazy. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, you know, he's a smart, genius, crazy man. So it's crazy because when we was at the video shoot, everything he shot the video, and you know T-Pain wasn't there. We had a good time, and the video it was okay. You know, it wasn't nothing crazy. He got somebody from Baltimore to shoot the video. You know, the video was cool, and then he told me, he said, "Yo, Jay, like, yo, we going to the BET Awards, and I'm flying everybody from Baltimore out there. And we going to the BET Awards." So I'm like, huh? Like, he said, I'm about to fly 30 to 40 people to LA, and we're all going to the BET Awards. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, well, I don't necessarily need him to fly me because I fly already. So, like, I'm good. I don't need you to, I don't want nobody to pay nothing for me, right? So this where it started to get crazy. So I'm like, okay. So my best friend, like, yo, I'm going out there. We all going to the BET Awards, right? Okay, so we go out there, go to LA. He gets out there and he's like, yo, pull up to my Airbnb or where I'm staying at, right? So I come to the Airbnb and, we stay there. Me and my best friend stay there. And Chad comes in and Chad hands me like $2,500. And he like, yo, this for you. This is the money that we made off our streams and stuff like that. So, we good. I'm just give you this money. I'm not stupid, Payne. Like, I know this song is not, this song can't be streaming for him to be able to pay me. So I'm just like, bro, what? Like, you giving me $2,500 for no reason right now, right? So then he walks out.
Wait, had you checked the numbers? Sorry to interrupt. Had you been cognizant of the streaming numbers?
Yes. And I know that the song, that's why I'm trying to figure out how this song's on Billboard, because I know the song is not really generating that much revenue. So he walks out the building and my best friend, whole time I'm thinking he's asleep. It's in the morning. I'm thinking he's asleep. Payne, he's just laying there and he's staring at me and he has this look on his face like he's like this. And he's just looking at me and I'm like, yo, what's up? He said, bro, this man just gave me $1,000. And I'm like, huh? He like, yeah, bro, he just gave me $1,000. I'm like, for what? He's like, I don't know, yo. He just came up to me and he handed me $1,000, bro. I'm like, okay, like, this is crazy. I'm like, this man really get money. He just handed out people money.
See, I had so many friends that were getting fast money when I was younger, and they never gave me a cent.
They give you no money? No.
I was just about to say that. It's like, I know you're going to get to how it came about, or we're going to talk about that, but I feel like that's like a very interesting thing because I know a lot of people who could give it out and they're not.
Yo, and the thing what he said, and I'm looking and I'm like, I got up with him again and I said, Chad, like, I know this money didn't come from like streaming, you know what I'm saying? Like you gave me $2,500, you gave my man's $1,000. He ain't buy no beef for my homeboy. He knows my homeboy, but they not like cool like that. So I'm like, you gave him like $1,000 and he just like, yo, I'm just glad that y'all are a part of what I'm doing and y'all good people and I just want to take care of my people. And I'm just like, bro, like this is crazy. Like, I'm like, okay, cool, right? So most of the time, what I've noticed being in this industry is that when people give money like that, it's usually to buy loyalty, but you can't buy loyalty, right? Like a loyal person is a loyal person. So you really can't buy loyalty, but that's usually why people do it. But, we like, whatever. Okay, cool. So he say, yo, I got 3 Airbnbs. I want to say 2 of them was in Beverly Hills. Like two of the Airbnbs was in Beverly Hills. And one of them was, I can't remember the area, but the one that he was staying at, I'm not really sure where it was, right? Okay, boom. This man flies about 30 people out there. He flew like 30 people out there, right? So we all at the BT Awards. This man say, yo, Jay, I called this girl up. I'm getting these cars brought over. This man rented maybe 8 exotic cars. 1 Ghost, a Wraith, like 2 G-Wagons, Benzes, all of that, right? I already had I rented a car already, but it wasn't that. I think I had like a little Chevy Equinox, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like a little, you know what I mean? And I remember pulling up to the house, one of his houses, and he was just like, yo, he was like, these cars nice, ain't they? I'm like, yeah. He tossed me the Wraith key. He said, this yours for the weekend. I'm like, bro, I'm like, what is going on? I told my man, I said, bro, this man just gave me the Wraith key. Like out of all the cars he got, I'm like, he gave me the Wraith key. I'm like, bro, this is crazy. I'm like, all right.
For the record, the Dance With Me beat was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a dope song. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was a dope song, but Payne, it wasn't like people didn't really.
No, I mean, I've made decent beats before and I've never gotten a Wraith. So yeah.
Yo, so man tossed me a Wraith. I ain't never drove a Wraith, but it was my first time driving a Wraith. So I'm nervous. I'm like, yo, I don't know what to do with this car. Like, but shit, we got a Wraith for the weekend. You know what I mean? With this BT weekend, everybody out here, like, we going crazy. So he give me the address to this one Airbnb. He say, yo, you staying here? I'm like, all right, cool. So me and my mans Oh, I gave him my key. He let he let some people, I think his assistants drive my car, my rental, but I wasn't supposed to let nobody drive the rental, but you know what I'm saying? So one of his assistants was driving my rental. I was like, whatever, I got the Wraith, so I'm good. So he gives me this Airbnb. He says, you staying here. Man, I pull up to this Beverly Hills Airbnb. Oh my man, like what is going on, bro? Like this house is so big. I'm like, this is crazy. It was so many people standing there. Next thing I know, he got chefs in there. They cooking. They all from Baltimore. Like it was just crazy. So he like, you know, I got to go shoot this little interview music video thing at this place. I want you to pull up. So I pull up to this place. Everybody there from Baltimore. I'm like, yo, how are all of you people here right now? Like, yo, this got to have been crazy, you know, for all of y'all to be here. So, you know, we there. At this place, I got the Wraith. They like, yo, you got a Wraith? Like he pulled up in a drop top Ghost with the roof cut off. So he hit me. He said, yo, Jay, I gotta go back to the crib. I gotta order more cars. So I'm like, okay, cool. So he goes back to this other Airbnb that he was staying at. He orders more cars. The person who he rented it from comes. I know the girl, and she like, small world. He's like, yeah, your man's just rented all my cars. I don't have no more cars for the weekend. I'm like, this is nuts. This is like insane. So we out there, we go to dinner, and he's just talking to me about everything that he wants to do. And like I said, Chad just rambles. Like, I don't really understand like his mission. I don't understand what we're doing. He just be rambling. So he's talking about it, but he's smart at the same time. So we was just talking about everything. And you know, he was talking about us going to the BET Awards. So he ended up getting everybody tickets to the BET Awards. So we ended up going to the BET Awards. He was introducing people. We came in there with his little suit, with his no shirt under his suit. And, you know, he's introducing people. Like, I already knew a lot of people in there because, like, I'm already in the industry. So, like, I'm like the ones that's already pretty much doing it. So, like, I'm just watching him, you know, putting people on and putting people in position, putting money in people's pockets. And I'm just like, this is like really crazy. Like, he literally flew everybody out. He has everybody staying out here. So then he's like, you know, I'm having this party later at this other Airbnb. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we go to the other Airbnb, and he having this party there. And then, like, I don't know, something happened where it got shut down. And this is when I see like Chad have like this like mental breakdown, and it just wasn't right. And I'm just like looking, and I'm like thinking to myself, like, he might be a little crazy, you know, like he might be like, it might be something wrong with him. And I just remember talking to his sister and his sister's baby father, which is like her boyfriend. And we just talking about it, and he's just like telling me things about Chad. And, you know, it was a lot. And that, you know, a lot of personal stuff that I don't want to get into, but I just was like, okay, yeah, like, you know, something's off, like, with him, you know what I mean?
What specifically happened at the party that made you think
so it got shut down, I think because of the neighborhood that they was in, and stuff wasn't going right. So he started to kind of skits a little bit, like he was kind of like going like a little, like he really wasn't making any sense. And he was just really, really off. And it's like somebody's trying to damage control things, but it's really spiraling out of control. But he was very calm, but he was too calm, and he just wasn't making sense. So that's how I knew that, you know, it was a little off. You know, and when we left, I ended up going to like this concert. Like, I took the Wraith, and I had went to like this concert, this BET show or whatever. And I was down there and I almost got robbed, which was crazy because of the car. And I was like, I'll never drive this car again. I had parked at the this hotel, and like these Bloods or Crip gang members like had walked up on me, and like they was like trying to rob me. But like some dude, security guards from the money team, Floyd's money team, like I know some of them. So it was like a lot of big dudes walking out the hotel at the same time. And they was like, yo, Jay, you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm straight. And the dudes looked at me, and then they was like, they walked off. Cause he walked up on me like it was like 6, 7 kids. They was like, what gang you with? What set you claim? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And that's when them dudes walked out and they had walked off. So I remember telling Chad, you know, like, yo, I almost got robbed, you know, in this car or whatever. So I ended up, you know, I ended up taking the car back. And then, like I said, that party happened. And at the end, of the weekend, when everything was all said, he had flew a lot of girls out there too. When I guess he was giving them bread, when everything was all said and done, I had got my car back, the original car that I had, and somebody crashed it. Like somebody did something to the car. Yeah, somebody did something to the car. So I'm like, bro, and I told Chad, I'm like, yo, they did something to the car. It's not like crazy, but like they might try to, charge me. He said, don't even worry about it. And he just he PayPal me like $500. And I was like, bro, this is probably too much. He don't worry about it. Just, if anything happens, just take care of it, use that. And nothing actually happened. Like they never said anything about the dent that was in the back of it. I don't know, maybe they didn't catch it, but I was like, yo, nothing happened. So, I'm gonna send you your money back. He was like, no, don't worry about it. Just keep it. And after that, he was like, yo, I might need to get some more beats from you, this, that, and third. I'm like, okay, cool. So after that BT weekend, I'm not sure how long it was after that, but then somebody called me and it was like, yo, they locked up Chad. And I'm like, what you mean he locked him up? They're like, yeah, he got locked up. Go look at Google. And I'm looking at Google and I'm like, yo, this is crazy, right? So I ended up seeing, and we ended up seeing, it was all over the internet, guy had, billboards in New York and, Times Square gets locked up for whatever he was doing, and I'm just like, this is crazy. And I'm really cool with me and his child's mother, one of his child's mothers. We went to school together. So we're really cool. And, she was just talking to me about more personal stuff, I'm not going to get into, but she's just talking about, a lot of stuff that was going on with Chad. Really think he was mentally off. But he's like I want to say like an Albert Einstein type of crazy genius type of thing. So he's in jail. And my grandfather, I remember my grandfather calling me because I live in Dallas. So I guess the police still had my number or my address on file for, where my grandfather lived at. So they start showing up to the house and they asked my grandfather, they're like, is Jeffrey Robinson here? And he's like, nah, he doesn't live here. Why? What's going on? They're like, well, we just have a couple questions for him. We want to speak to him about some things. And my grandfather called me. He said, yeah, some policemen were here. They wanted to talk to you. Is everything okay? I said, yeah. I was like, what they was talking about. And he told me, and I was like, no, don't worry about it, granddad, it's nothing. So I remember I called my best friend. I said, yo, the police just showed up to my house. I don't know what's going on. I was like, but you know what I'm saying? They came back. I am not talking to them. I got nothing to say to them, right? So they kept coming back to the house, and my grandfather was getting worried, and he called me. He said, are you in any trouble? My grandfather was a little older, and I just felt so bad because he was just like, are you in any trouble? Do you need any help? Did you do anything? And I'm like, nah, granddad. I was like, it don't got nothing to do with me. But it's cool. It's nothing serious. So, you don't have to worry about it. So eventually they stopped coming. And he ended up, going to jail and doing whatever. But in the meantime, while that happened, bro, everybody switched up on him. So many people turned on him. They switched up on him. They was calling him a goofy. They saying his music was trash. And he, because he was paying to do shows too. He was hopping on these shows in Baltimore, and the crowds was just like, who is this man? He basically was doing some industry plant type stuff. So people were switching up on him, calling him crazy and all this other. And I just couldn't believe it because I'm like, yo.
And it was the same people that benefited from his generosity at the time.
I'm not going to say nothing because I'm not going to incriminate nobody, but he was giving people money that should not have been receiving money. He was paying a lot of it. You feel what I'm saying? I've seen it. And he shouldn't have been, and they shouldn't have been. It was crazy. And for people to switch up on him, and not give him he's a great dude, bro. He's a really good dude. Now I don't know what he does with his family. I can't speak for everybody else, but I know I was well taken care of. He took care of my friends. That he didn't have to. He took care of a lot of people. He flew 30 people to the BET Awards. He flew people from Baltimore that didn't never have to that never went nowhere to these places, like, and they switched up on him. You know, he lost a lot of people, and I was like, I'm not going to be one of those people, you know. And sometimes when I would see people badmouth him on the internet, I would have to intervene because I just felt like that's corny, you know. And he couldn't defend himself, of course, because he's locked up. He can't speak on anything. But then out of nowhere, this man just popped up on the man popped up on the internet, and it wasn't his page. It was a dummy page because apparently he wasn't allowed to be on the internet. But it's like he's defending himself on all of these platforms. And I'm like, well, this page was defending him on all of these platforms. And we know who this is. Come on now. Like, we know who this is. Like, and we was talking, you know, it was a topic of conversation. Like, is he out of jail, you know? And then the page went away. I think he ended up serving his time, and then he came back, and now he has a page again. So he's, you know, on his page, and sometimes he'll go and he'll say things, you know, like for me, like I can't, like, you get these, I don't know if y'all have ever come in contact with people like this, but he'll say things like, you know, me and Jay Oliver, like he'll go on like a public platform, like me and Jay Oliver had the biggest song to ever come out of Baltimore. You know, we make hits, we made the Billboard, you know, this is my platform. He's the greatest producer ever. You know, I'm one of the greatest artists to ever come out of here. Nobody can do what me and him done. Like this is how he talks. He speaks very highly of who he messes with, you know, and people are just looking at this man, looking at his comments, and they like, man, this man is really delusional. And that's really like how they viewed him. And then I remember this whole Vice thing. I don't even know where that came from. I just saw, you know, people were talking about it like, you know, this is crazy. And then I was told that he had enough footage to come up with like a Netflix type of thing. So I don't know what's going on with it. I tend to stay out of it because, you know, I have so much going on. I just don't want to get dragged into anything crazy at this time. But if he does have a Netflix, you know, joint, it's going to be watched by a lot of people. It's going to be a hit because that was crazy. That whole time was crazy. And then, like, when it came out that he stole that much money, $4 million from his company, everything made sense. Because, like I said, the way that money was being thrown around, and I know that it wasn't coming from no coffee. I know he wasn't a drug dealer because that's not Chad. Chad does not sell drugs. I knew it wasn't that. In the music, I knew it couldn't have been coming from the music because the artist that he had, he wasn't really pushing like that. So everything was crazy. So when it came out that that's, you know, the money was coming from, I'm sitting here. I actually called my lawyer and I said, yo, this money that I received for my services of music, can I get in trouble for this? And they told me no, right? They was like, you can't because, you know, you weren't. It's just something they said, like I wasn't conspiring, I guess, stealing money, because it was people with him taking money too. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, cool.
Like other people from the company, you're saying? Or
I don't know. It was people that he was around him that they tried to, you know, lock up as well. But I was good. I was in the clearing. And this wasn't my
company got in trouble shortly after. So
they got in trouble?
Yeah, they owed a couple million in a similar federal case, but it had to do with them scamming customers. It didn't have to do with.
So they got in trouble too. So they was doing crazy stuff too. His company was doing crazy stuff too.
It seems like Chad was somewhat of the fall guy. Not just that he wasn't taking it, even the way that he describes it, it's like I was amongst a bunch of people who just did this thing. So it was just the thing to do, basically.
So
because the type of company that it was a fraudulent company. So it was like, yeah. So them saying he stole the money is like a unique type of claim for the type of company they were. Do you know what I'm saying?
Because they were a fraud company too.
Yes. So it's like he took money, and I'm just putting it in quotes, not because it's just because I don't know what happened.
They're going to kill you in the comments for that, Aaron.
Yeah, for sure. It just seems like the way that the company that he worked for was ran, it was only considered stolen money once they got caught. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because it's
right. Yeah, I know how they do.
Yeah, because, you know, any company, $4 million is nothing to sneeze at. The government will catch you. A small company will catch you. A big company will surely catch you. So if they have that much revenue flowing through to where they weren't bothered at $100,000, $500,000 at $1 million. As much as I recognize that it may not look on the up and up on Chad's side, which he even admitted, it definitely, there's some foul play at hand with them, because who's gonna let you get to that number? Do you know what I'm saying? Before you get caught.
Man, you know what's even more crazy about this whole situation is this is not the first time I've been involved with something like this. It's crazy, Payne, because there was another similar situation that I was involved in something like this with another guy out in Dallas, which is very unique. And if you Google this, you know, his case will pop up as well. But it's a guy named his name is TJ. I can't remember his last name. Country singer. White guy, country singer from Oklahoma. He great guy. Same thing with Chad. Very, very, very good guy. And he actually, and I love both of these guys. I love TJ and I love Chad because, you know, they really opened me up to, you know, a lot of different things. And TJ Hamilton, I think is his name. He the thing about him that I loved is he's a white guy. I'm describing he's a white guy, looks like Johnny Bravo, typical country singer type of looking dude. And I met him when I was in Dallas, and he came up to me and he said, and he smiles all the time, real good dude. He said, you know, Jay, he's like, I think you'd be really good in the country music field. And I said, bro, what are you talking about? Like, we play basketball. He's like, yo, you should do country music. Like, I want to do country music with you. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and I remember we just got real close. And one day he pulled up, he said, man, you're such a good guy. I just paid for your gym membership for 2 years. And I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah. Then he'd come up, he'd be like, bro, I got these new Jordans. You know, my grandfather had them. I just want to give them to you. And he gives me an exclusive pair of Jordans. He says, man, you know what? I want to work on music with you. Here's $5,000. Let's go in the studio and work on some music. So we ended up doing it. Come to find out, this man, he played tight end for Oklahoma for the Sooners, but like he was a walk-on. And he came up with this idea of like something that had to do with some sports type of thing. And he scammed three different people into thinking he had a business model. And I think he scammed them for like over like $2 million or something crazy like that. And he ended up getting busted and he ended up going to jail. And then that came out on the news that he scammed it to live a lavish life and support his music country career and all this other stuff. And people are sending it to me, and I'm just sitting here like, what is going on in the world? Like, this is crazy. Like, this is the second time that this has happened. You know what I mean? And I'm just like I'm reaping the benefits of it without like actually doing anything illegal, because all I'm doing is music. It's like, you know, people really want to be musicians, you know. And he just got out of, he went to jail. It's crazy. Like, if you see this guy, you'd be like mind blown. Like, but he just got out maybe like 2 years ago. I think he's like got a fiance now, clean cut white guy, country singer. But it's just like these situations is like crazy. But yeah, it ties in.
Yeah, I guess he was selling security.
You looked it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says, this is from Oklahoman.com. The agency claimed Hamilton took more than $800,000 of investors' money before he and his parents spent most of it on expensive steakhouse dinners, clothing, shoes, hotel rooms, flowers, and other personal expenses. It doesn't say how long he was locked up for, but I'm guessing it probably wasn't as long as Chad, but
it wasn't as long as Chad. But like I said, it was. The case was going on for a minute, and every time I would bring it up to him, he would smile about it and say, it's no big deal, it's nothing. Like, he would smile about it. Like, he would hit me and say, yo, I got these. One time he hit me, he said, yo, I got these cars to Neiman Marcus. You want one? I'm like, nah. When I heard what's going on, I was like, nah, I don't want that. And one time he was real cool with a lot of athletes. And there was a big wide receiver that played for the Detroit Lions. And he said, bro, you know, I have his Nike account. Here's his account. Just go on and pick whatever shoes you want out of the account. It's free. Don't worry about it. You know, he gets all this money, you know, this, that, and the third. And he was cool to do. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's cool. So, you know, I went on a Nike account, picked my shoes out. You know, they sent it to me, you know, paid for it. You know, I courtesy out of his money, you know, the athlete's money. But I thought it was because they was cool. I hope they was cool because if they wasn't, I don't know how he got his account. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to see how close and people can get to people, like just based off of charm. You know, Chad was the same way. Very nice guy. All of them.
So I wonder, all right, you produce records for Chad. He goes to prison. The police are coming to your house, harassing your grandfather all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they hoped to uncover? They thought you were a co-conspirator in laundering
money? I think so. I think they're trying to, I think that when they saw that we did a record, and they saw that, you know, I was with him some of the time, I think they probably was trying to see like what I knew. Because it wasn't just the police, it wasn't just them that came there. It was also I don't know if it was a PI or his attorney. I don't know if it was a PI or his attorney, but somebody else that came to the house as well. And they asked my grandfather if they could get my number. And I told my grandfather to give them my number. And I think they were trying to get me to speak on the behalf of Chad, to help him, you know, to say like what he did and stuff like that. And I told them that I would do that. Like, I told them I would do that, but I wasn't speaking to the police. I wasn't doing that. And if the police didn't have anything on me, then there was no reason for me to come back to Baltimore to talk to them. Like, I had nothing to say to them. But his attorneys did contact me. But I don't know what happened, if he ended up getting new attorneys or whatever. But I didn't end up speaking, you know, to the attorneys.
Or it was just a plea, you know. I don't know how it well, you know, like if it's a federal case like that, I would have just probably done the same thing and not. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. That's terrifying. I've never been to prison, and the jail's bad enough. So
yeah. No, I wasn't. Nah, like I said, Chad, and there was no way, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I called my attorney, and it wasn't nothing that they can do. You know what I'm saying? I'm a music producer. That's what I did. I sold beats. You know, it's on file. You can go look and see, you know, the money that he gave me, you know, on the books, off the books, it's cash, but on the books, you could see, you know, what was paid for, the transactions and stuff like that. So it wasn't like I was in there, you know, just taking, because it wouldn't have been, if I was stealing some money, it'd have been the same amount as whatever he was getting. If I'm gonna go to jail, I'm gonna go to jail for something serious. It's not gonna be for no, you know, 10,000 here type money. You know what I mean?
Are y'all still cool to this day?
Hell yeah, that's my guy. In fact, let me see if he's still following me. I haven't. Like I said, he'll come. Like he'll come. Like, you know, he'll speak to me like every now and then. You know, he'll write comments and stuff like that. He's still very active on Instagram. Like, he's very active on his stories. Like, page right now. But I haven't, you know, he hasn't hit me up. I don't know necessarily what he's doing as far as right now. So, but he hits me like on Instagram every now and then.
It's funny because we're trying to get a part 2, and Aaron, at one point you would kind of called him, I don't know if it was in jest or half serious, but you kind of called him Robin Hood of Baltimore. And it sounds like that's precisely what he was.
Who called him that?
Her.
Oh,
I did. I said it seemed like he was like the Robin Hood of Baltimore, but they tried to paint him as this like evil, maniacal, super self-centered artist in the, you know what I'm saying? They were like, he's putting up all these billboards. Yeah.
Man, that man was giving money to everybody. He was giving it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, it was so, I will never forget my homeboy face when he looked at, he's just like, he was so confused. He's like, bro, why did this man just give me $1,000, bro? Like, I'm so confused right now. I'm like, I don't know, but just, man, just take it. He gave it to you, just take it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he helped a lot of people. That's why I said, like, it kind of, it was a little irritating to see like some of the people that, you know, switched up on him, making fun of him, clowning him. And, you know, a lot of people said that he should have taken that money and invested it into like an artist. I mean, he had artists, but he was really investing most of that money into himself being an artist. But I kind of agree. You know, he wasn't, I don't think he was he knows he wasn't a good artist. You know, he wasn't like the best. You know, he sounded like Travis Scott. You know, the song that we did, Dance With Me, was really Ralease. Like, it was really Ralease, the singer, who carried that song. You know, he just put his verses on there. It's like kind of similar to when when a rapper gets a hit record and they just put a verse on it. It was kind of something similar to that, but he didn't have another, like the song was being played in Baltimore. It was on the radio, it was being played. People were playing it at the parties and clubs. They might still play it. Even to this day, DJs probably still play it. But he should have put it into like a younger artist or something like that. I think it probably would have went further. He maybe, an artist would have broke, by what he was doing. But yeah, he wanted the image, I guess, with the billboards. He had billboards everywhere. Billboards in Baltimore, billboards in New York. Like he had billboards everywhere. So
it also sounded, and these are questions I want to ask him directly at some point. But it sounded like, by his own admission, he was caught up in some pretty awful stuff in the corporate world, awful cycles, drugs, all kinds of, activities that spin one's moral compass.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't realize, he's the one that said it, that the corporate world is crazier than the streets. And I'm like, bro, the stuff that they do in the corporate world, and they're just comping everything, just wild nights. It's basically the most stereotypical exploitative rap video lived out by a bunch of dudes in suits.
Mm-hmm.
And it strikes me that was more the culture he was living than even the rap star life. You know what I mean? That's my perspective from the outside looking in on it.
When that all went down, things started to make more sense to me. Of course, where he got the money started to make sense, but also his mental, like, what he was going through mentally. Like when I said, like, he was a little off and he was a little everywhere, I think he kind of knew. And I think that was kind of weighing on him and why he was doing what he was doing. But I'm glad that, he is out now. And like I said, I'm not sure what he's doing right now, but you definitely right. I feel like he was the Robin Hood of Baltimore too. Because like I said, he helped so many people. Like I have nothing bad to say about Chad. Like, I don't know how anybody would have anything besides maybe his like baby mothers, or, what I'm saying? Like, I have nothing bad to say. I don't like he just helped way too many people. He did too much. But yeah, I mean, I wish I knew he was getting that type of money though. I'd about maybe charge him more for beats. I'd be like, bro, you got it, bro. I need 5 for a beat.